Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Skyblock Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. I am having a great one. We are starting off today with the intention of going to the Nether, and I'll catch you up a little bit on some stuff I've done off camera before that, just so that you guys are on the level. We have a cactus farm over here, which you probably saw in the last episode. Likewise, a sugarcane farm over here, and I've been harvesting both somewhat regularly so that we now have over a stack of sugarcane and a decent amount of cactus. A little over half a stack there. That's probably all going to go towards green dye for the various collection objectives that we have here in the advancements for getting one of every type of wool and every type of concrete and so forth, but kind of fun to have that stuff on the list. I've also been farming some sand from the husk farm, and we now almost have twice the amount that we started off with, which is pretty good. We got 47 if you count the 3 I'm using to farm cactus here. Could enlarge the cactus farm if I wanted to, but to be honest, I'm not planning on using it for all that much. It could be useful for mob farming, but then we might lose the drops and so forth, so it's probably for the best if we avoid using it too extensively. I also have, as you'll probably tell from the fact that I'm wearing full leather armor right now, smelted down basically every iron thing I could find in order to get myself enough iron nuggets for a third iron ingot, and with that we are going to make ourselves a second bucket. Since our first bucket is now permanently over here in the husk farm down there, which I would go out to since night is falling, but I think I've been up for a few nights now, so I'm going to quickly get some sleep here. Having the bucket is going to be very useful for moving water sources around, which is something I've not been able to do while the other bucket is over there in the dispenser. First thing I'm going to do with that is to set up a water source over here, probably block off the redstone torch before I do that, but I want a way to be able to have the cobblestone just flow back to me after I've been farming it here at the cobble generator. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe build up the walls on either sides here, set up a waterlogged something over here, and then just have the water flow towards me so that any cobblestone that falls within a 3-wide area is just going to come back to me, the player. I'm looking forward to having that set up a little bit, but the cobblestone I've been farming here is mostly going to go towards bridging out in the Nether and searching for whatever else is out there. I'm going to make all of this row here into bottom half slabs like that. Make sure that that area there is closed off as well, and probably do the same on this side, just so it's up to there. Yep, that should be fine. The main reason for making this barrier a little bit high is just so that the cobblestone that we're mining here doesn't flop out of the sides. And yeah, I think that should probably do. So now if we place some water down at this end of the platform, it's just going to flow towards the center here, and if we are standing roughly centered with this cobblestone generator, we should receive all of the drops. All I have to do is mine it back a little bit. And now if I just stand here and mine away, all of the cobblestone should flow back to me in that water stream. It's a fairly simple quality of life change, but it's just going to be nice to have. I guess in the interest of keeping this symmetrical, I could always back it off one more block in this direction, like so. A little bit of water went over the edge there. Yep, that shouldn't be affecting anything further down. I think I just want to make this 3 blocks wide instead of 4. It doesn't seem to be ending up on the wall on that side. And with all the cobblestone we've collected, I'm actually going to turn most of this into slabs so we can do some safe bridging out in the Nether, because that is our destination for the episode, I think. I'm going to take small amounts of this with me initially, and as before, I am going to stash any valuable tools here in the chest, because this is just going to be an exploration-based trip. I'll take a little bit of food with me as we need it, but for the most part, I think most of this equipment can stay here. So without further ado, we're going to step back into the Nether, take our slabs with us, and hopefully find the Nether Fortress. So here we are back at our little Nether hub. We are on lower half slabs here, as you can see from the orientation of these blocks, and I think the best thing to do is going to be to explore out in 3 different directions. The 4th direction being this one over here, which we have already built a zombie pigman farm in front of, so hopefully the fortress is not too far west. I'm going to try going east first, and we'll see how we get on. Once again, this is where the Minecraft Bedrock players have it a little bit easier, because being able to bridge forward would at least show me where the Nether Fortress was as it popped up out of the fog. And right now I feel like the reason I'm not seeing it if I increase my render distance is the fact that the fog in the Nether is a little bit more intense, and without Optifine being released yet, I don't have any control over that. So I'm going to be looking up every maybe, 15 to 20 blocks that I place, just to check on the status of my surroundings, whether or not we can see anything in the fog that might be the Nether Fortress, but I have a feeling it's going to take a little bit of exploring here. Of course, the sound effects and subtitles are going to be helping me a great deal here as well, aside from those eerie noises that are happening. If I hear any blaze sound effects or wither skeletons clanking or anything like that, chances are we will be approaching the Nether Fortress. I don't know how far out to go at this point, but we are close. I think we're probably 64 blocks away from our starting point here, so I reckon maybe a stack in each direction, and then we'll go on the corners and connect those up with a few more slabs to see if something is just out in the southeast or northeast, I guess it'd be in that direction. And yeah, when you have an infinite open void like this with no clue which way is up or down, it can get incredibly disorienting. So remember to reorient yourself every so often just so you know exactly where you're going. In this direction, we are heading south, so hopefully we should encounter something this way, or at least a hint of where we're supposed to be going. And I guess maybe we could try and connect up the south and the east pathways as well. Wait a second, I think I am seeing something over in that direction. It is a very, very faint shadow right now, but that looks like the archway of a crossroads section of a Nether Fortress. So I wonder if we can bridge out over to that. That is in the south direction, and it looks like, yes, I can see it coming into view a little bit more clearly now. It looks like that is actually to the southwest. Now, naturally, this is the point at which I could try and rush my way over there, but we're going to have to be incredibly cautious because as soon as we get within spawnable range of that, blazes might start to spawn, and blazes are going to be very difficult to deal with at this point in the Nether because I really don't have any means of fighting them with the equipment that I've got, and they are ranged attackers. They might be able to bump me off the platform. So what I'm going to try my best to do is crouch my way over there, and then hopefully we will be able to check out the situation. If we die at this point, the only thing we're really going to lose is the armor and these levels, which are effectively useless to me at this stage in the game, and I can always get more from farming mobs at the mob spawner, so that's not a big deal. I just want to get a little bit closer and scope out what the situation is with this section of the Nether Fortress. Looks like we are roughly on center with this platform at this point, so I think the next step is going to be to bridge out towards it. Once again, staying aware of the subtitles and being incredibly careful about what we're doing here. And that does just look like a single tower of a Nether Fortress out here in the void. I'm not seeing anything else around it, meaning that the map makers have probably deleted large sections of the fortress in order to have this be the setup for the map. I guess that makes sense, though. They've got a limited amount of spawning space in here, meaning that, like the other islands in the overworld, we can use this to make some pretty intensive farms. That seems to go all the way down to void level, though, so that's a lot of nether brick we can potentially take a look at. And according to the advancements tab, the end portal is inside the fortress. And I don't know if that means this fortress or if it means another fortress structure somewhere else out here. I can't see one way or the other, so I think I'm going to head back to the overworld and grab myself some more slabs. But as you can see, the fog situation is such that I really couldn't tell that was there before we started bridging out in this direction. So exploration is definitely going to be the name of the game. I wonder if there are similar towers out in other cardinal directions, or if that is the only one we have access to. At this point, I feel like we should probably bring something to defend ourselves, like an axe and maybe a few torches to see if we can light up the area once we're there, to limit spawns and make the platform a bit more accessible to us once we're over there. I'm going to bring a couple more stacks of cobblestone slabs, but I'm really not certain what we're going to find once we get over there and what is going to be able to spawn right now, so we should play this a little carefully. Alright, so it looks like we're a little bit off-center with the tower, but that's fine. I'm actually going to widen out this platform here to give myself a bit of a staging area. That way I have somewhere a little bit more solid to run back to if we encounter anything more dangerous out here, and I have a feeling we will. So yeah, I reckon we'll start out from about here and see if we can make it over to the fortress tower. I wonder what the deal is with the end portal. That's my main concern right now. Once again, using a slightly faster bridging technique by moving diagonally. I don't see any blazes or hear them yet. We are slowly approaching the tower. I should probably check. Yep, okay, it looks like we're all right. At the moment, I'm not seeing any wither skeletons or anything like that spawning, so hopefully we will be in luck. I also don't see any sign of a spawner, like a blaze spawner or anything, so maybe we will have to set up a blaze spawning area, a platform of some kind, in the bounding box of the fortress that we can use to farm some of the Nether Fortress mobs. Let's hop up here, and I thought for a second that we were actually standing on the top half of a block. I was a little bit worried there, but then I realized that they've actually built the majority of this structure out of slabs. I can't place torches down here anywhere. That also means that this whole thing is not spawnable. So that's very good. That's very good to know. The end portal seems to be set into the top of the tower here, and I assume I'm able to break the blocks around this, so there aren't any end portal frames. You could just go to the end now. That is going to be something I will need to avoid doing, though, because I really am not equipped to enter the end and fight the dragon at this stage. So I think priority 1 is going to be going down here and seeing what is inside the tower. Got a rudimentary sort of staircase. This is all still slabs, which is very, very good news. Down here, though, as you can see, we have some glowstone, we have some nether wart and soul sand, which is fantastic to have, and it looks like this is it for the Nether Fortress. So I'm going to grab this nether wart while I can and hope that there is nothing underneath this soul sand. Okay, good. That is very, very good. So we can bring this back to the overworld, and that, of course, will allow us to brew a few potions once we have access to blaze powder. The next thing, though, is to probably make this room completely spawnable. So to remove all of the glowstone, to remove the soul sand, nether wart, and any slabs or stairs that are in the area, and to set this up as a Nether Fortress mob farm so that we can get blazes to spawn in here and end up using them. Just having 2 blaze rods at this point would be a massive windfall, because having a single blaze rod means I could make a brewing stand. The other blaze rod would break down into 2 blaze powder, one of which could be the fuel for the brewing stand, and the other one of which could combine with some slime to make magma cream, making me fireproof and then able to fight a bunch more blazes for a little while. If we got some redstone from a witch, I could even extend the duration of fire resistance to 8 minutes, and we'd be able to gather a lot more blaze powder, so that would be ideal, really. Considering that the end portal is already lit over there, though, we don't need to worry about acquiring blaze powder for the purposes of making Eyes of Ender, which would be a little bit grindy. Instead, we can concentrate on just having that for potion brewing, which is, to be honest, kind of a relief right now. So bringing the soul sand back over here, I can plant that by the side of the farm, just getting in the way of that sheep a little bit, and we can plant our nether wart here so we can grow it in the overworld. Nether wart grows under any conditions as long as it's on soul sand, so that is fine. We can just wait for that to grow a little bit more, and I'm going to put that in here with the rest of our potentially potion brewing supplies. If I'm able to get some blaze powder, that also means I'm going to have to do something about farming the slimes that are spawning on that platform down there, so that's another job for another video. I think we're going to head back to the nether armed with a few more blocks, and the interesting thing here is going to be seeing if we can make do with these slabs for a spawning platform, or if we will have to use nether brick, because I don't know what the bounding box of the fortress is in this world, so I guess we're going to have to play it by ear a little. One other thing occurs to me, and that is that this Nether Fortress pillar going all the way down to roughly what I would assume is void level is actually a really useful thing for getting down to lower levels of the nether. All we would need to do is to bring some vines that I sheared off a jungle tree in the overworld, plant them on the side of the Nether Fortress, and spend long enough in the nether that the vines would grow all the way down to the bottom, and we can effectively use that as a ladder. An alternative way of getting down to the bottom of the nether would be to place a piston somewhere and have it activate to push blocks downwards from beneath it. And there are other methods involving using trapdoors to get yourself lower than the hitbox of a block and place a block underneath it, but we shouldn't need to worry too much about those if we have this Nether Fortress nearby. Our reason for getting down to the bottom of the world, of course, being to set up more efficient farms for things like zombie pigmen, eventually ghasts, and magma cubes will factor into that as well, and maybe even if we want to cannibalize the entirety of this Nether Fortress, we could set up a spawning platform down at the bottom of the world for blazes and wither skeletons. That's assuming the hitbox of the Nether Fortress reaches all the way down to the bottom of the world, though, which it may well not do. I'm not sure quite how they have used this, and in future, if you guys are cool with that, I think I might bring in the Bounding Box Outline Reloaded mod just to see where the bounding boxes of some of these structures are, so that we can make the most of these when we want to. For now, I think my priority is going to be setting up a safe space that I can run to at least 23 blocks away from the spawning floor down here, so that we can allow blazes and stuff to spawn, but not in such large quantities that we'll be overwhelmed by them if we go in here to attack them. I also want to make sure that this area here is going to be nicely blocked off, because if we have an area that we can crouch through there, that means anything that is chasing us won't be able to follow us, including wither skeletons, but also any other too high mobs that might make an appearance in here, and ideally blocking off this entire wall wall will mean that blazes can't shoot us through there. So the infrastructure here is looking a little bit rough and ready right now, but I'm fine with that. I've just gone back to the overworld to get a little bit more of these cobblestone slabs, and I think as long as we have a path all the way along here that we can line with these slabs to make sure we don't fall off the edge, or get knocked off the edge more importantly, I think that should be okay for now. As long as we can get a couple of blaze rods out of this, that will be ideal. So let's place this barrier over the top here, making sure that stuff won't be able to follow us out of the fortress is priority 1. That should be okay. I think I am just going to fill the rest of this in just so there are fewer opportunities for blazes to fireball me as I make my escape, but ideally, once we get in here, we should be able to dispatch any blazes that are in here and none of them will be around to give chase. That is the hope, at least, and obviously it looks like a giant mess of cobblestone right now, but at least we have enough cobblestone to do this. So the next step really is going to be to remove all of the glowstone that we have down here. I feel bad not silk touching or fortuning this, but we can farm it from witches in the overworld. That's not going to be as big of a problem. And so now, once we take away all the torches, this area should now all be, roughly speaking, spawnable. There is no light here pretty much, so if I get all the way out here to the end of the platform where I've placed these 2 blocks of nether brick, we might get some spawns in that little room. Oh, I think I see something through the windows down there. It looks like we might have... Oh, is it a zombie pigman? I bet it's a zombie pigman. Yep, we have a couple of pigmen and a wither skeleton is down there. All right, well, hopefully he will spot us down there. He can come up the stairs to try and fight me. I don't really want wither skeletons right now, but I suppose better now than never. I suppose I could use this as an impromptu zombie pigman farm as well. It would certainly help to clear them out and prevent them from taking up the mob cap in this area, because they do count as hostile mobs after all. We should be far enough away from our central location there that we aren't getting mobs from that spawner pad interfering with the mobs in this room. Yeah, it seems like the wither skeleton is having trouble with the concept of stairs, and none of the other zombie pigmen are aggroed on me right now as far as I can tell, because they didn't see me hit their friend. That guy's just walking out onto the balcony, so maybe we can give him a quick shove and knock him off. Yep, there we go. Bye-bye. I'm going to get off the balcony quickly, though, just in case the wither skeleton actually manages to come up here, but I think we might have to replace these stairs with solid blocks to have a chance, you know? Maybe I can hit him a couple of times from up here. The reason I'm using an axe, by the way, is that as far as... Oh, they drop soul sand? That is something I did not know about this. That's excellent. Okay, the reason I'm using an axe instead of a sword is because while the sword is obviously faster, the axe does 9 attack damage compared to 5, which at the stone level is actually really, really useful. It's going to make a huge difference. You see how I hit that wither skeleton? Killed him in 2 hits. That was probably for the best, really. Let's see if we can get any blazes or any more wither skeletons to spawn by standing over here for a little longer. Yep, I just saw the crackling of a blaze in the subtitles, and I can hear him already. Hopefully that should be nice and easy to take out. I see him down there on the right-hand side of the stairs. Let's take a couple of taps. Yes, there we go, and we got some quartz, and we got a blaze rod. Fantastic. That's so good. All right, we should now have potion brewing up and running. All we need is a little bit more blaze powder so that we can brew the potions in the first place. But that is one way to get yourself a brewing stand. Yep, got another wither skeleton over here. Let's see if we can get a little bit more soul sand from him at least. Taking out the pigmen like this is going to be one area where the sword will be more useful than the axe, though we kind of need that sweep attack on our side to take care of a bunch of them at once like this. And while it's quiet in here, I've used a few of these fortress materials just to flatten out the floor down there, making it slightly easier for stuff to spawn and not get caught up down there. Now, it is kind of nice to still have the stairs down to that spawnable room as part of the structure, because it gives the mobs an extra obstacle and makes them slightly easier to confuse, meaning that it's slightly easy for the player to gain the advantage in these direct one-on-one fights like this. But really, all I'm looking for now is one more blaze to spawn in here, and then I can make my way back to the overworld. And there is one of the reasons that I think that guy actually dropped a wither skeleton skull, which is incredibly good luck unless the drop rate for those has been altered in this pack. But right here on the right-hand side is the reason that I was definitely determined to make these handrails in place, was so that the yes, there we go, we got the advancement, so that the skeletons that pack spawn with wither skeletons did not knock me off this platform, especially while I am carrying all of this valuable stuff with me. One wither skeleton skull already is definitely pretty good, though. I just saw a blaze spawn in here, though, so it looks like we may be getting close to our final objective here, and I'm going to try my best not to hit the zombie pigmen this time around and just go for the blaze. Yep, there's just one blaze behind the stairs here. Should be able to get a couple of quick axe hits on him, avoid getting in the fire, and we have our 2 blaze rods as well as 2 quartz, which if we have a little bit of redstone will make us some observers as well. Fantastic. I think that will do for now. I'm going to place some torches down in here so we don't get any spawns before we want them next time we are here, but for now I think that's going to be it for this little nether fortress. We will be back though, because we need to turn this into a much more functional farm. Folks, I am very happy with that though. We got our 2 blaze rods so we can start brewing some potions. We can make some magma cream once we have dealt with the slimes, and hopefully we should be off to the races as far as potion brewing goes. That's going to mean potentially curing some villagers in the next couple of episodes. This has really opened the next door to the progression of Skyblock. And just look at the advancements we've made in the process. We've collected a piece of quartz from a blaze, we've relieved a blaze of its rod, and we have obtained a wither skeleton skull. That's very, very cool. We've even got a few gold nuggets as well as some quartz. This is looking great. So naturally, the first thing I want to do is keep one of these blaze rods and split the other one into blaze powder. We should gather a little bit of cobblestone from this chest and make ourselves a brewing stand. At some point, we'll probably set up a formal area for brewing, but for now, I think I'm just going to place it over here on this dirt block, seeing as we're not using that for a tree farm anymore. We'll put some blaze powder in there. We're all fueled up and ready to go. Now let's talk about the ingredients we will eventually need to cure a zombie villager. We need a fermented spider eye with a spider eye, some sugar, and a brown mushroom, which I believe I brought with me, and those are in one of the farming chests somewhere, I think. Yes, there we go. We got 2 brown mushrooms, 2 red mushrooms there. The brown ones are what we are going to need, and it's going to be ideal to farm those renewably over here using some of the podzol that we have here in our tree farm. Now, I wonder if I take this down, if there's going to be enough shade provided by the canopy of the trees above it that we might be able to grow a giant brown mushroom here if we remove some of these lower hanging trees. Actually, thinking about it, I'm thinking of the mechanics for growing mushrooms on grass. Actually, podzol will accept the brown mushroom basically any time, so we don't need to worry too much about that at all. Having grown the giant spruce tree there and having had the podzol spread to these blocks, it's going to be a lot easier to grow giant mushrooms than I originally thought. Because you can plant mushrooms on any block as long as it's dark enough, but podzol and mycelium will accept mushrooms at any light level, and from there we should just be able to bone meal it to grow a giant one. So let's grab some bone meal out of here and give that a try, and yes, there we go. We got ourselves a giant mushroom. Excellent. Now we should be able to break all of this down with an axe, and hopefully we'll get a few extra brown mushrooms dropped out of this. Better with a fortune tool as always, but for the most part, yep, looks like we are doubling our mushrooms at least. Great. There we go, 9 brown mushrooms for the price of 1 and a little bit of bone meal. Not too bad, I think. So let's turn that into a fermented spider eye, and we should be able to brew a potion of weakness without even having to worry about putting the nether wart in first. Of course, what we will need to put in is a few bottles of water. I thought we'd already put those in the brewing stand, but I guess not. There we go, let's load those up, and it's already brewing down into a potion of weakness. All we'll need to do at that point is add some gunpowder to make it a splash potion of weakness, and we have everything we need to cure a zombie villager, if we can find one. There we go, 3 splash potions of weaknesses and a local brewery advancement. Brilliant stuff. I will pop those back in one of these chests. I think I'll put them in the one at the end here so that we can keep our zombie villager curing supplies separate. Let's take the gold that we gathered in previous episodes. Let's take 2 apples, and there we go. We got our 2 golden apples all ready and waiting. In theory, 1 splash potion of weakness and 2 golden apples should be enough to cure us 2 villagers if we can get 2 zombie villagers at the same time. And from there, we could start a villager breeder using our crop farm here, and that should be us off to the races with villager breeding. Let's hope. But guys, that is going to be where I will leave this episode of the Skyblock Survival Guide. I do hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'm really happy with the progress we've made so far, and I think in future episodes we need to start transforming this Skyblock base into a nicer looking place to live. But for now, leave a like on this episode if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.